Chronic disease has major impacts on patients, caregivers, their families, their friends, their communities, and our nation as a whole. And I take chronic disease very, very personally. His name was Gary, and he was my whole life. Ours was a Hollywood love story, for real. We both worked in production. We lived in Hollywood. We were supposed to have a happily ever after, and then he was diagnosed with cancer. The reality is, when you look at the statistics, there's very few of us that are going to get out of this unscathed, where we don't become a patient, a caregiver, or both in the course of our lifetime. Chronic disease is complex. It's complex for the healthcare system and the healthcare practitioners that are stretched beyond with their resources. It's complex for the patient, who often feels like they've lost control in their life. And it's complex for the caregivers. It's not easy for me to stand here and admit that 2.5 years into caring for my late husband, I didn't know if I could do it one more day. So we need strategies. We need ways to help people move beyond this. I remember standing in Whole Foods with labels in my hands, wondering if the choice I was making was going to make the difference between him living and dying. I know he felt the same way. I remember that moment I had to make good on the promise to go and shave his head when his hair got too thin from the chemotherapy. And I said, babe, it's time. We pulled out the clippers and we did it. I know the issues that patients deal with around body image, sexuality, and intimacy that are not given any time in the healthcare setting. When people are told, be happy, you're alive. It's about the impact that happens when you realize that you're not angry about the wet towels against the newly painted wall in the bathroom, that you're angry and afraid that he's going to die and leave you alone. And you say that to him for the first time. And he held me in his arms and I cried. And in that moment, we shifted to a place of love. These are the complexities of chronic disease. This is what people are facing. This is why we've created Well Beyond This. What we want to offer people is an opportunity not just to get great information from their healthcare system and their healthcare provider on how to deal with chronic disease and the impacts of caregiving, but to actually be able to implement it. When people are under stress, they're not able to take action. So we created Well Beyond Ordinary so that we can fill a gap. We see an opportunity in healthcare to bring coaching-based principles and support, along with technology, to deliver this to patients and caregivers, reducing the burden on the healthcare system, on healthcare practitioners, and giving people the tools that they need to feel like they're living more well and more quality of life. It's a cost-efficient, effective, online platform that's easy to use. It's supported by phone coaching, online group forums, and it's easily accessible from anywhere. So you don't have to be close to a major healthcare center in order to access it. Our programs are unique because we understand through the model of coaching we're trained in that stress is a huge block to creating behavior change. Now, most of the recommendations that will come from healthcare providers for caregivers and patients to improve their quality of life, to address the chronic disease, require behavior change. And yet they're not given a process by which to do that, or the support. They're expected to do it with what they already know. We've built that into a 7-phase journey, and it helps people first deal with the stress and get some energy so that they are less fatigued and they can start to focus on what matters to them, building supportive relationships, communicating better with their doctors, and creating sustainable plans for well-being. The program's combined with videos, audios, interactive worksheets, online group forum, where they connect with others so they feel less isolated, and they can start to feel more well and involved. They can take the lead in their own well-being. We can't change the fact that people are diagnosed with chronic disease or thrust into the role of caregiving. What we can do is change their experience of it. One of the things I love about coaching is that it gives you the opportunity to change your moments first. We focus on the moments. You change your moments, you change your days. You change your days, you change your life. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes patients and caregivers need more tools and more resources. But we can't do this alone. We need your help. So here are some ways that you can potentially help. And if you think of something, please reach out and connect with me. We really want to help healthcare reduce the burden on the caregivers, and help people, millions of people, to live well beyond this. Thank you.